San Antonio's news, traffic, and weather station. News Talk 550 KTSA and FM 107.1.
This movement possesses all of the markers that any expert on the field would require to say that, yes, this is an autocratic movement. It's metastasized north of the border, and you have an insurrection underway in the capital of a very important country, our neighbor to the north, Canada.
Oh, it's some talking head named Steve Smith. That's not an insurrection. That's a fight for freedom that's going on in Canada. And look, here's the bottom line. They're worried about it coming here. And instantly, my goodness, happy days are here again. Anthony Fauci says U.S. can soon drop the mask and all the other mandates. Oh, it's time because of full-blown pandemic and the phase out. It's all coming to an end. So I want to talk with my representative, Chip Roy, and find out what he thinks about this and also about a very important bill that he has filed this week. As a matter of fact, Trey Ware on KTSA. Chip, welcome back to the show.
Great to be on, Trey, as always. Hope you're doing well. In San Antonio, Texas, I wish I was there. I'm in D.C., but I'll be home soon.
So let's talk about this now. All of a sudden, the Democrats can read the polls. Last week, they got their jackboots on your neck and pushing it down, saying, keep those masks on those kids, mask them up. And now, all of a sudden, take the mask off. And Fauci's now saying, in just no time at all, we'll go back to normal. What are your thoughts?
Well, the only thing that has changed, it's not the science, I promise you. It's the political winds. Democrats are seeing that the American people are fed up. They've been fed up. Now they're starting to see how much damage that's going to cause them, likely in November. And frankly, God bless those Canadian truckers. I mean, there's more fight and more backbone, if you will, in those Canadian truckers than I've seen in a good chunk of America. Now, in part, it's because of federalism. A lot of our places across this country, we've been able to fight and try to stand up against the mandates in ways that you can't do in other countries. That's the beauty of our system in a certain way. But there's so much we still need to do. We have our men and women in uniform, our military folks, obviously so important in San Antonio, who are still facing discharge and these mandates that stay in place. Our healthcare workers. I mean, we act like this is over. But just yesterday I got somebody forwarding me an email from MD Anderson saying that this doctor, nurse, healthcare worker is going to lose their job for not believing it's in their interest to get a vaccine.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And frankly, I am appalled, embarrassed at my Republican colleagues, 51 of whom in the United States House of Representatives, 51 of your 212 Republicans, voted yesterday for the continuing resolution to fund government that's continuing to enforce the CMS mandates against healthcare workers, the military mandates against our men and women in uniform, and, by the way, the federal worker mandates against Border Patrol. So you have our faithful servants who are facing losing their job or have already lost their job because we won't stand up and fight. Republicans have got to find a backbone or they're not going to be given power in November, and then our country will continue to get shellacked because we're allowing these authoritarians to run our lives.
You know, you are right on the money about defunding all of this stuff. And I had somebody call me about that last week. Well, if they defund it, I'm going to lose my money from the government, and I depend on that. I'm going to lose my federal job. But the only way to get through to these people, I'll give you an example, Chip. Here in Texas, as you well know, Governor Abbott has said no mask mandates. Well, we have school districts right here in San Antonio, Northside and San Antonio Independent School District, and others in different parts of the state that are violating that order from the governor. Well, cut off their state funds, Governor Abbott. That's what speaks to these people. You want to get their attention? Stop sending them cash.
Well, and I want to say something to the people out there listening. I mean, like, nobody here is advocating or saying we want to go seek a shutdown, okay? Democrats use that. Like, it doesn't matter which playbook. If Republicans are in charge of everything, we're in charge of a shutdown. If Democrats are in charge of everything, Republicans are still in charge of a shutdown, right? That's what they do. They want to fearmonger. The fact is, 80% of government stays operational. We don't like to seek a shutdown, but if you give up your leverage, you give up your power of the purse that the founders gave us, then we give up everything. And then we're saying we're going to fund the authoritarian executive branch when they're violating separation of powers and they're using the power of government to tell your neighbor they've got to go get a needle stuck in their arm. Look, Americans should care more about freedom than their daily day-to-day comfort. And the people that are standing up for freedom in our military, or healthcare workers who are saying no, like those Canadian truckers, I'm damn well going to stand alongside them, and I'm not going to run afraid. And unfortunately, 51 of my Republican colleagues refuse to stand on that wall.
Let's talk for a second about the administration that is violating laws. They're violating the immigration laws of the United States. I think they're a part of bringing these people into this country, which makes them in bed more with those coyotes and the others who are bringing people into this country. This administration is participating in law-breaking activity. Secondly, I also believe that they're breaking the law with this new thing that they want to do by handing out syringes and crack pipes and all these other things that they've got in this bill to help people to participate in their drug use safely. Well, it's against the law to use drugs in this country. It's these types of drugs in this country. And as long as it's against the law, they're going to aid and abet people to smoke crack with these pipes. Well, they're breaking the law. When do we and how do we hold them accountable for law breaking?
Yeah, look, there's so much packed into what you just said. This administration does not give a whit about trying to pursue the Constitution and the rule of law. Let's take and focus on the border for a moment. Alejandro Mayorkas, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, the entire administration, but Mayorkas is in charge of carrying out his duty to secure the homeland and the border. He and his folks are specifically refusing to enforce the law, specifically refusing to follow the Secure Fence Act, which requires to have operational control of the border. And instead, we have fence rusting in the field, and we're paying contractors not to build the wall. We are violating the law by releasing people into the United States. We're not supposed to release people into the United States without going through all of the proper procedures and checks and going through the credible fear determination and determining whether people are dangerous. We had 1 million people last year, well over 1 million, Trey, that were either released. We think about 700,000 or so released, and another 400,000 or 500,000 who were gotaways, that were known gotaways. So over 1 million people that came to the United States. Americans are in danger as a result of it. They're dying as a result of it. Students are dying from fentanyl poisonings. All of this because, as you said rightly, the administration is refusing to uphold the law. We should impeach Mayorkas over it. Republicans shouldn't hand-wring in the corner and say, oh, no, this will just be tit for tat. No. If you can't impeach a public officer for failing to faithfully execute the laws of the United States, the result of which is dead Americans, then what the hell are we doing?
So good. Okay, let's talk about your bill, the vaccine mandate and the troops. How can our people listening right now, how can they help you get this done?
Well, we introduced legislation yesterday that serves several purposes. One is to make very clear that the mandates do not apply to our men and women in uniform for COVID-19. It's a politicized vaccine. There should not be a mandate in place. We should end it. Number two, it would make sure that our men and women in uniform who chose not to be vaccinated and have been discharged can return to service. They can go back and serve their country. And three, it would say that that for the time they missed, whether that was 6 months or 2 years, they would be able to count that in terms of their term of service and towards their retirement, rather than losing that time built up because of this outrageous effort. Some of my colleagues, we had a debate about whether we should do back pay. To me, that's a step too far, and it gets highly complicated. But I think what we ought to do is make sure that there's no more vaccine mandates, that you can come back to work and serve in our military, and that you should be able to continue to maintain your time of service. So we're going to move that bill, I hope. Certainly we're going to be pushing it hard and want to make sure we're standing alongside our brave men and women who stand up for us.
Everybody who can hear us right now, go to Chip Roy's website and sign up for his daily briefings. Great stuff there. Chip, we'll speak again soon. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Trey. God bless.
You too. That is Chip Roy from right here. Log on, check him out.